Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into the really complex world of online sports betting in Bahrain. We've gone through the top 10 articles on Google so you don't have to. And we've put together a clear guide on this, well, very tricky topic.
So, here's our game plan. We're going to kick things off with the legal confusion, the big paradox. Then, we'll get into how people find a trustworthy site to use. After that, we'll look at what sports and bets are popular, cover the absolute essentials for staying safe, and then wrap it all up with the most important takeaways.
All right, first up, let's tackle Bahrain's betting paradox. This is really the core issue that shapes everything else we're going to talk about.
So this is the big question, right? Is sports betting even legal in Bahrain? You'd think the answer would be a simple yes or no, but it's a lot more complicated than that.
And here's where things get interesting. On one hand, the law is crystal clear. Article 308 of the Penal Code says gambling is a crime, period. But, and this is a huge but, that law was written long before the internet became a part of our daily lives. It just doesn't mention online betting. So you have this massive legal gray area where local, in-person gambling is definitely illegal, but the digital world, well, it operates under a whole different set of unwritten rules.
So given that whole legal paradox, how do you even begin to sort through the thousands of offshore betting sites out there? Well, all the sources we analyzed point to a pretty clear checklist.
And this is basically what it all boils down to. It's not about the flashy promotions. It's about legitimacy and safety. You want to see a real license from a known authority. Think the MGA, UKGC, or Curaçao. You absolutely need to see strong security, like HTTPS encryption, to protect your info. You need safe payment options that give you some privacy. And of course, always check what other users are saying. Reviews will tell you the real story.
Now, the great news is you don't have to do all of this detective work yourself. Our analysis of the top sources showed that review aggregator sites do all the heavy lifting for you. In fact, a lot of them mentioned that a super simple way to find these vetted lists is to just search for betplace.us and click on that first result. It's a shortcut to platforms that already tick these safety boxes.
Okay, so we've covered the where. Now let's get into the what. What are the sports that get the most attention in Bahrain, and what kinds of bets are people actually making?
So, no surprise at all, football is king. It makes up a massive half of all the interest. But after that, it gets really interesting. Horse racing has a huge following, which makes sense with its deep cultural roots in the region. Motorsport is another big one, especially with the Bahrain Grand Prix being such a major event on the F1 calendar. And you've also got a really dedicated fan base for the homegrown MMA promotion, Brave Combat Federation.
Now, one of the most popular kinds of wagers you'll see is the accumulator, or what some call a parlay. Think of it like a combo bet. You're stringing multiple individual bets together into one giant wager. Here's the catch. Every single one of your picks has to be right. If even one loses, the whole bet is toast. So yes, it's incredibly high risk, but the flip side is that the potential payout can be absolutely massive. It's the ultimate all-or-nothing bet.
And it goes way beyond just picking a winner. You've got outright bets where you're trying to predict the champion of a whole league or tournament way in advance. There are spreads and handicaps that make even a one-sided match interesting. And then in horse racing, you get into stuff like each-way bets and super complex exotics, like a trifecta, where you're trying to predict the top 3 finishers in the exact order. It's a whole new language to learn. Okay, this brings us to what is, without a doubt, the most important part of this whole explainer: how to prioritize your safety and privacy. This is the one area where every single one of our sources was in total agreement.
It all comes down to 3 fundamental steps. 1. Use a reputable VPN. This is non-negotiable for protecting your privacy. 2. Choose your payment methods wisely. Prioritize things like crypto or e-wallets that aren't directly tied to your bank account. And 3, the most important one of all, practice personal responsibility. Set a strict budget, stick to it, and always remember this is a form of entertainment, not a job.
And this table perfectly illustrates why that payment choice is so critical. Just look at the differences. Bank cards, they offer very little anonymity and a high risk of your bank flagging the transaction. E-wallets are a decent middle-of-the-road option. But if you want the highest level of anonymity and the lowest risk, the research consistently shows that cryptocurrencies are the top recommendation.
You'll see this warning or something very similar on just about every reputable platform, and it's echoed across all the sources we looked at. It's there for a reason. It's the #1 rule. Gaming has to be responsible. It's a simple idea. Never bet with money you can't afford to lose. It's meant to be fun, not a financial strategy.
Okay, so we've gone through the laws, the platforms, the sports, and the safety measures. Let's wrap this all up and boil it down to the key things you absolutely need to remember.
When you put it all together, navigating this world really comes down to these 5 principles. First, know you're in a gray area. Second, vet any platform you consider. Look for that license and security. Third, protect your privacy like it's your job. VPNs and anonymous payments are your best friends. Fourth, and I can't say it enough, bet responsibly. And fifth, stay informed. Let expert reviews do the hard work for you.
And we'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. In a world where technology will always move faster than lawmaking, does the real power of regulation end up in our own hands? To be informed, to be cautious, and to be responsible. Something to think about. Thanks for joining us for this explainer.